Okay, Shalom. First, I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, B'chakodash, double honors to our venerable apostles and others, our great millstone who were well and labored in truth and doctrine of Yahweh Shai HaMashiach. Shalom to my fellow servants in Yahweh Shai HaMashiach, according to the faith of the Most High's elect. Peace and blessings to the Lord's elect, which are the house of David. All right, it's the brother Haran from the Man of Valor camp. All right, today is Monday. All right, October 12, 2020, the year of prophecy. And I just wanted to get into a series that, Lord willing, it'll be edifying, okay, known as What's What in World Politics. Okay, now, the reason why I'm doing this is pretty much inspired by the Spirit. All right, I was just thinking of something to bring out. Okay, and, just looking, I watched the brother Itazawam, I Stay in the Spirit 144's video. Okay, I believe it was titled, let me get it real quick. It's titled, I don't know what it's up now. It's titled, The Rulership of Esau is at its End. Okay, and the elder brother went into, how we're having a whole bunch of class wars. Okay, race wars pretty much, all right, people being very antsy, all right, and violence is taking over the whole earth, all right, because we are at the end of Esau's age, okay, we're at the end of Esau's rulership, Esau's age, man, and as you can see, these are all things that were prophecy, okay, prophetically spoken by Yahushua, all right, and so many different other prophets on down, okay, but you go into the book of Matthew, the 24th chapter, okay, which, let me get that real quick. We started off with that. All right, this is something we always bring out, but it's very prevalent, especially being that it was spoken by Yahushua, okay, our Lord and Savior. This is the book of Matthew 24. All right, the book of Matthew, chapter 24, start off at verse 6. It says, And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. Okay, for nation shall rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. All right, all these are the beginning of sorrows. Okay, so these things that Yahushua has spoken, all right, we're seeing those things happen and come to pass. Okay, when you go into the book of 2nd Ezra, all right, the 15th chapter, it talks about sedition among men. Okay, it also talks about people fighting against each other, okay, for lack of bread, and so on and so forth. Okay, so those things are all orchestrated by ultimately Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, all right, but he uses a particular people on this earth, okay, who are known as these so-called Rothschilds, these central banking families, all right, these Rockefellers and so on and so forth. Who the world will call the so-called Illuminati, all right, but those people, all right, go back to the nation, all right, of Esau, Edom, okay, so they're the biblical Edomites of the Bible, okay, and those are the ones that the Lord is using to plague this world, all right, to destroy the earth, okay, because we're going into we're ushering in a new world, a new age, okay, which is going to be headed by Yahushua, okay, and the 12 tribes of Israel. All right, starting from the Negro all the way down to the so-called Negro, all the way down to the so-called Mexicans. Okay, that is part of the promises. When you go into the book of Romans, the 9th chapter, it talks about the promises. Okay, that's part of the promises, getting that kingdom, man. Okay, but before that kingdom, we're approaching. We're actually not approaching. We're actually in the time of those prophecies that will signify the end of this age. Okay, and one of those prophecies is fightings. All right, wars. Rumors of wars, nation against nation, kingdom against kingdom, all right, and in the political world, all right, that very thing is called class struggle. Okay, so this title is going to be, what is class struggle? Okay, so we're going to get into it, Lord willing, it'd be edifying unto the elect. All right, it says class struggle, all right, the basic content of antagonistic relations between classes. Large groups of people distinguished by the different roles they play in a particular historical system of social production and by their relation to the means of production. Okay, class struggle is a motive force in the development of of all antagonistic socio-economic formations. It leads to social revolutions which result in society's transition from one system to another. Okay, so we've heard this time and time again from the World Health Organization, the United Nations, and the European Union, NATO, all these different heads or systems that come together to form that ultimate beast system. All right, they've been pushing for something called a global reset. Okay, the World Economic Forum, all right, they are the ones behind pushing for the concept of a so-called global reset, all right, which is just another code name for New World Order. Okay, but they used this so-called coronavirus pandemic, all right, again, so-called because that's what they call it, but that's not what it is, all right, and it's all propaganda to cause fear and to force the people into submission, and also the giving up of their rights, and the so-called rights and liberties. All right, so they created this whole chaotic atmosphere that's taking over the whole world, to create people to be so frustrated, all right, that they can come about and say, look, the only solution is to have a global reset, a new world order, where we can do away with all these problems that have plagued humanity throughout history. Okay, so we need to make a step and a leap of faith into a transitional, transformative new world where all hell will be lost. All right, there'll be no hell. All right, it's gonna be all peace. All right, and no more wars, no more fightings, no more world hunger, no more poverty, and so on and so forth. Okay, these are all things that the devil will use to deceive the world. Okay, and class struggle is one of their tactics, and you can see it today. Okay, the elder brother was going into how you have people after the Lakers won the championship yesterday. You have people fighting over there in LA. Okay, and it's gonna get worse. It's gonna get intensified because you're gonna have classes of people. All right, whether it's middle class or lower middle class, or I forgot the last the bottom class. Let's just say that. Okay, those are the ones who are gonna be going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. All right, in sort of like a Hunger Games type scenario, man. All right, and we're shifting in, closer and closer to that. All right, it says in capitalist society, class struggle between the two main classes, the proletariat and the bourgeoisie, okay, is waged in economic, political, and ideological spheres. Okay, the main economic demands, however, can only be met as a result of political struggle. Okay. Political struggle, as radical economic transformations require a political restructuring of society through a social revolution. Okay, so right now we're in a so-called revolution. All right, with just here in America, you have this whole Black Lives Matter movement going on. Okay, which is all orchestrated by these elites. So-called elites, all right, and then you have people around the world who are protesting the lockdowns. All right, they're looking for a different solution to cure this so-called pandemic. Okay, and they don't think that the way their governments are going about it is the proper way to do it. So you have a lot of people protesting. All right, going into Second Ezra is talking about what sedition among men. Okay. Riots and so on and so forth. But like I said, it's going to get intensified and it's going to get very, very bad. Okay, it says the goal of the latter, okay, which is requiring a political restructuring of a society through social revolution, right? So that's the latter. The goal of the latter is to overthrow the rule of the bourgeoisie and establish the rule of the proletariat. Now, I just want to get the definitions of those two words because that'll help understand the concept better. Okay, so let's look up proletariat. All right, proletariat is the lowest class. Okay, and then the bourgeoisie will be the highest class, who the world calls the so-called elites, the top of the top. Okay, so let's just look it up just to just for edification. All right, bourgeoisie are a body of freemen in a French town, hence the French middle class, also extended to that of other countries. Okay, town dweller, all right, from Bork town village, all right, with derivatives referring to hills and hill forts, all right, communist use for the capitalist class generally. Okay, it says bourgeoisie, the social class between the lower and upper classes. Okay, so that's, I guess, the middle class. Okay, so Salakia, I said in the beginning, I said that it was the elites, which really you could say that, but you know, that's for the masses, the Jeff Bezos of the world, the Bill Gates of the world, the Elon Musks, and so on and so forth. All right, the Warren Buffetts. They are not the elites that run this world. Okay, those are names that are given to the masses to take their minds off of the true heads of this world, which are known as the true families. All right, who love money so much, the Rothschilds. Okay, everything starts from that line. Okay, the Rothschild family. Those are the ones that nobody hears about, but they actually own the wealth. I believe 3/5 of the world's wealth is owned by the Rothschilds, man. Okay, I believe 90% of the wealth, okay, is owned. Also, I think 90% of the wealth in America, if I'm not mistaken. But at this point, it might be way more than that. Okay, because people depend on the government for everything, so they might not have any wealth, but you know, I believe the numbers are pretty crazy. All right, 99%, and then 1% for the 99, something like that. All right, but they're waging war. All right, they're doing a class war between the bourgeoisie, which is the middle class, and then the lower class. All right, which will be the proletariats. Okay, it says major manifestations of the proletariat's class struggle during the period of pre-monopoly capitalism included Chartism in Britain, the June 1848 uprising in Paris, and the Paris Commune 1871. Right, and these are all so-called revolutions. And remember, every revolution that's ever taken place in human history was orchestrated by these Rothschilds. Okay, that's what they've been able to do, and that's how they were able to take down a lot of monarchs. All right, you had the English monarch was taken down by revolutions. You had the British Revolution. All right, the French, okay, they're Louis the 14th, Louis the 15th, 16th, all those different princes and kings and so on and so forth. All right, were taken down by the so-called French Revolution. And then you had the Tsars of Russia, which was also taken down by revolution, the Russian Revolution, Soviet Revolution, whatever you want to call it. All right. And then you had also in Asia, all right, the Chinese dynasty and so on and so forth. You had the Han dynasty, the Qin dynasty, all these different dynasties, okay, that ever existed were taken over by so-called revolutions, which was all done by these Rothschilds, man. Okay, and their main goal was to do away with monarchs and then to infiltrate and then bring about their political way of living, okay, which always starts with the money, okay. It says the era of imperialism is characterized by a sharp intensification of the class struggle of the working class against the bourgeoisie. Okay, the center of the revolutionary movement moved to Russia, where the first victorious socialist revolution took place, launching the building of a new society. Okay, so with every revolution comes change. Okay, and it's never a change for the good of the people. All right, but they always use the people. When I say they, I'm talking about these elites. They use the people with political theatrics, use the people in a form of democracy, which is known as mob rule, demoniacal, all right, mob rule. And then they use the mob to make changes, whether it be political or religious. And then they subjugate the mob, okay, by bringing out draconian laws. Okay, and that's the same thing that we're seeing now. So, you know, all these different so-called protests and riots, you know, you have the NFAC, okay, which is orchestrated by the left-hand side, Esau Edom. You have BLM, Black Lives Matter, also orchestrated by Esau Edom on the left-hand side. You have, you know, the so-called white supremacist movement. You got the so-called Proud Boys, which they just came out of nowhere, but let's just put them in there as well, you know. All these different so-called groups coming together to speak up against the government are all created by the government. You see what I'm saying? So they're not organically created, because there's no way in hell you're going to have a whole bunch of so-called black men and women armed to the teeth, walking around in the streets, protesting, talking about, you know, we're tired of the oppression. If you kill one of us, we're going to come get you, with Grandmaster Jay and all these different guys. and they're doing a sloppy job. They need some more training. Them dudes is over there shooting themselves left and right and so on and so forth. Okay, so we can see what's brewing. Okay, you've had people come out and talk about this so-called election coming up. Regardless of who wins, all right, we're gonna have some type of civil war, which is, again, it's predictive programming. They're telling you this is what's coming, prepare yourself for it. And out of all that chaos, they're gonna come down with great wrath with the military forces and so on and so forth to lay the land desolate. All right. So continue, it says, when socialism is fully established, all right, socialism is pretty much communism. Okay, everybody is on the same equal level playing field. Okay, when socialism is fully established, friendly relations between the socialist classes of workers and their joint action under the leadership of the working class and based on common basic interests, hear that? Replace class struggle as the motive force behind the development of the new society. Okay, at present, the intensity and scale of the class struggle in the capitalist countries vary depending on the level of organization and class consciousness of workers. In the course of that struggle, broad popular masses who have a vital interest in the implementation of general democratic demands rally to the working class. The struggle for democracy is spearheaded against the monopolies and reactionaries, against infringements on constitutional rights and the current gains of the working people. It prepares and brings closer the social revolution and is an element of the struggle for socialism. In developed capitalist countries, the class struggle of the proletariat is characterized by the latter's acute confrontation with the bourgeoisie, which uses various methods including the bribery of the upper crust of the working class, ingratiating itself with the leadership of reformist trade unions, the adoption of anti-labor legislation, and the recourse of terrorism in order to preserve its rule and break the resistance of the working people. So that's exactly what we're seeing now. Okay, you have a lot of these what would we consider bourgeoisie, okay, the higher end of the upper class. Okay, those are the ones who are in league, or how the world would say, they're in bed with these elites in order to suppress, okay, the rest of the working class. So you can see how you've had a dramatic or drastic power shift. Okay, now you got a lot of people, I'll say, oh man, over 70% of the American population are in dire straits, but it's just not being brought out. Okay, you can tell from the way people are thinking, the way people are reacting to things, whether it's the news, whether it's this whole corona thing. People are broke, man. People don't have what they used to have. You know what I'm saying? These stimulus checks are not doing it for a lot of people. Okay, and even if you wanted to make a change for your life, there are no jobs. Okay, because of COVID, all these jobs have been shut down. A lot of restaurants are shut down. A lot of retail stores that a lot of people used to work in the retail business is all being shut down. Okay, these sporting events, okay, performances, clubs, all these different things that people would use, okay, to cope with their pathetic lives is all being taken away. Okay, but this truth is what's keeping everyone stable. Scriptures say, Isaiah 33:6. Hold on, let me see if I can get that real quick. Okay, it's this truth that keeps us all stable, man. Okay, it's the book of Isaiah chapter 33 verse 6. It says, and wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times and strength of salvation. Okay, the fear of the Lord Yahweh is his treasure. So the fear of the Lord is what gives us that wisdom and knowledge. Okay, and that's what gives us that. The wisdom and knowledge is what keeps us stable, because we're not losing our minds because of what's happening in terms of current events or prophecy. No, we understand these things and we know what's to come after these things occur. So that's what keeps us stable. We understand that COVID is just a thing that the Lord is using, okay, to bring about the end of this age. Okay, as you can see, it's ushering in the so-called New World Order. All right, by means of implementing this RFID microchip, fulfilling the prophecy of Revelation 13, verse 16, 17, and 18. Okay, Revelation chapter 13, verse 16, 17, and 18, man. all right, going to the mark of the beast. Okay, so these are all things that we know, all right, as men of the Lord, or as the hopeful elect, all right, of the Lord's elect. Okay, we have that wisdom and knowledge, and that's what's keeping us stable in these times, and that's what gives us the strength and the hope of our salvation, man. Okay, it all stems from the fear of the Lord, but the world does, they lack the fear, all right, the appropriate fear of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. All right, so let's keep reading. It says, in the developing world, class struggle has significant, unique features of its own, as the goals of social emancipation are closely related to the attainment of genuine independence and the pursuance of anti-imperialist policies, as well as, in some cases, the attainment of general democratic goals. Communist and workers parties, whose role and importance steadily increase, are the guiding force in the class struggle of the proletariat. The international communist movement has become the most influential force and a basic factor of social progress today. The class struggle of the proletariat, led by the communists, okay, is an integral part of the world revolutionary process and a major contribution to the consolidation of forces which stand for peace, democracy, and social progress. Okay, so let's read that last part again. Okay, it says, the class struggle of the proletariat, led by the communists, is an integral part of the world revolutionary process, okay, as we're seeing now, and a major contribution to the consolidation, meaning bringing together, or to consolidate, meaning to amount, okay, to immerse a certain amount of wealth or whatever it might be. Okay, or designate. Basically, let me just get it, because my words are not, I'm not getting the proper words to describe it. Okay, what's the word again? Consolidate. There you go. Okay, consolidate. All right, it says to combine into one body. There you go. So to make one. All right, to make one, to grab everything around and make it one. Hence, we have a new world order, one world order. Okay, which is going to be, you have the Pope coming out, I believe 2-3 days ago, talking about the unity, okay, of the world. All right, and how we as people should obey, okay, and comply with the United Nations and their demands. If not, they're going to be detrimental results. Okay, it says what? Led by the communists is an integral part, meaning very important part of the world revolutionary process, and a major contribution to the consolidation, which is what? To combine into one body, okay, making everything one, of forces which stand for peace, democracy, and social progress. What does that sound like? That sounds like a beast system, everything coming together under one banner known as the beast, okay, which is going to be headed by NATO, the EU, and ultimately America sitting on top of that. All right, you have the United Nations as well playing a role in that. You're going to have the Catholic Church, the Vatican, also playing a role in this formation, all right, of this beast system. Okay, so that is what class struggle is all about. It's, again, everything you're seeing now. You have the classes going back and forth, economically, politically, so-called religiously, spiritually, whatever it might be. All right, there's a class war, there's a class struggle going on, and that is all to break down the current system we have in order to bring about the new system that they hope to have. Okay, but through the spirit and power of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua, all right, that so-called wish, all right, will not come to fruition. Okay, that so-called wish will not come to fruition. All right, but let's get this last precept, okay, and then we're going to close it out. Okay, this is the book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 6. All right, verse 9, it says, for Esau is the end of the world, meaning the end of this age, okay, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. So there's going to be another world to follow this world, this current system, this current age, all right, this current lifestyle that we're living, man. There's going to be another world, another life, another way of living that's coming after this one, okay, and that's going to be in righteousness, and that's where we're going to have peace, all right, we're going to have joy, All these nations are going to be in their proper order, including Esau, Edom. Okay, there'll be no more wickedness. All right, pertaining to Proverbs 29:2, it says, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice, but when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. Okay, so Yahushua talked about this being the beginning of sorrows. So because we're underneath the rulership of Esau, Edom. All right, but once he's taken out of power, which is going to be done by violence, okay, once he's taken out of power, okay, then we're going to usher in that righteous kingdom, that righteous rulership, okay, which is going to be everlasting, all right, headed by Yahushua, man, okay, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. Okay, so I'm going to end it off there. All right, Lord willing, this is edifying unto the elect. I like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rakakudash. Until next time, Shalom.
With our next panel, we have here with